Bienvenue. My name is Alexi McCall, and today we're going to learn how to make this firearm in front of us. To start, let's get rid of this old firearm right here. We're going to start by introducing a new asset. Now, you want to scale this down to the appropriate size for your avatar. However, I've already done this, so I'll just rip that off of my old component. So now that our gun is sized to our avatar, what we're going to want to do is add a particle system. Particle systems are an amazing thing that I won't go into detail here for your firearm because each firearm has a different set of particles it will need. So, now that we've added in our particles, what we're going to do is we're just going to give it a 0 location. And now that our particles are zeroed, we're going to just slap it on the end of the barrel here. And now we've got our particles. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to start by creating a box collider. Now we're going to make sure it's a trigger, and we're also going to add a pickup script. From here, we're also going to add a spawnable script. And we're going to adjust our spawn height to whatever we so choose. And from here, we can also change our grip to origin. Now, I already created a grip origin, and that's really going to depend on where your avatar is and how everything is set up. But what we're going to do is we're going to move our grip origin right back here. Now, to set up your grip origin, we're just going to slap our grip origin into our slot here. And we want to make sure that this little chubby Bubba is going to be in the back, because Bubba's always in the back. Now then, to finalize our weapon, we're going to add a interactable script. And from here, this is where we'll add our interaction down and interaction up. But before we add our interactions, what we want to do is we want to go all the way up to our spawnable script, enable sync values, and the value we want to sync is our gun. It's going to be our Lee gun for this one in particular. And we're going to drag our animator on over. Now, make sure that your controller has the animator you did create for your avatar's gun. And what we're going to do is we're going to change our animator parameter to gun. So now that we've synced our value here, we can start modifying it in game. To do this, we're going to add 2 sets of actions. And they're both going to be set spawnable value. And we're going to do, whenever we left click, we're going to turn that to a 1 and turn the right release to a 0 because we're no longer firing. If we did not do a interaction up, the gun would keep firing. I know this from experience. Now then, what we're going to do next is going to be verifying that our animator is the way we want it set up. Make sure that your animator is set up like so, where your not firing position is selected first, and your transition from not firing to firing is a float value. Make sure it's a float, not an integer. From here, we're going to make sure that we're going to have a value greater than 0 when we're going to the firing stage, and we want a value less than 0.9 or 1. Because any value less than that, we are not actually firing our weapon. Now, you'll notice I've put 0.5 and 0.9. These values don't matter as much as long as there's some wiggle room between the absolute 1 and the absolute 0. You could even put 0.420. From here, we've basically created our gun. Now then, my animations for my guns are going to be as follows. For our firing animation, we're going to have our skin skin mesh renderer shape keys adjust themselves, so it's going to keep rat-a-tat-tatting. And we're going to turn on our particle emissions because on default we've turned them off. And for our audio, we're going to turn on our audio object. Now, my internal systems here are all a bunch of mix match from different firearms I've made on VR chat. Regardless, the not firing animation is as follows with everything disabled, and it's only a 1 second turn off. Now then, we've got our animators set up correctly, we've got our animations set up correctly, and we've got everything in here set up correctly. Now, what we want to do last is we're going to make it all uploaded, because we've fixed everything that we would need to. So we're going to upload our spawnable object, and from here we're going to enable our tags, because tagging is a very important thing of CVR. If it's not tagged right, some people don't want to see nudity, violence, or even horror. Unfortunately, I like all of those, so I do have to properly, set everything up in the tags. Now then, we're going to name our new rifle. We're going to call it the Firearm Test. And from here, we're just going to add these. However, every time in CVR, it's going to spawn a camera that you're going to need to adjust whenever you do an initial upload, because your camera won't change from there on out. This might change in future, but we're just going to change our camera view to right there. So now that we can see our gun, we know which one we've got. And from here, it's going to upload our information to the cloud so we can summon it in VR. And there we go. Now, I'll meet you in VR, where I can show you how easy this functions. Okay, and here is our firearm. Now, the first lesson of CVR is to be patient. Sometimes you will need to re-upload your firearms or whatever, because sometimes the data isn't always there. Now, this can happen for whatever reason, but if you do encounter issues, do fall into insanity and just try re-uploading. Afterwards, you'll be able to be met with a properly functioning firearm, and to demonstrate, we've got my finger right here ready to fire, and firing. Now, the bullets are traveling so fast that you can't see it. And again, I do encourage you that if you do have any issues, try re-uploading. It might fix it. Otherwise, you'll have to dig through, make sure you did everything completely right, and it can sometimes get a little bit more insane. But if you've done everything right, computers are made by humans and nothing is perfect. Thank you for watching my tutorial, and I do hope you have a blessed day. Au revoir.